Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizing committee of this 33rd annual PSN conference for such a successful event, especially in these hard time of COVID pandemic. Now, coming back towards my topic, my talk is about one of the most leading cause of death globally, that is the traumatic brain injury, and what lessons we learned in managing these patients. So this talk is basically for the residents and young neurosurgeons that whenever you handling patients of traumatic brain injury, you should not follow the rule of thumb. You should individualize your patients. You should see the GCS of the patient time and time again. And if the patient is not improving, you have to opt for certain measures. So objective to study and analyze the different aspects and management of TBI methodology. I won't go into the detail. I would like to present the cases. Male-female ratio 3:1. The most common age involved in traumatic brain injury patients were the first 4 decades of life. The most common cause of injury was RTA. Majority of our patients presented with mild to moderate head injury, that is 80% of the patients. This is just a comparison. The radiological findings which we found in our patients were brain edema on top, followed by contusions, epidural hematoma, depressed skull fractures, and so on. So all the patients were managed as per standard protocol, care of airway and breathing, restoration and maintenance of hemodynamics, and optimal environment for the brain was provided by taking care of hypoxia and other measures. Majority of the patients were treated conservatively, while only 27% required surgery. So a few cases, this is a young chap presented with RTA in our emergency department with huge pneumocephalus and with confusion. So this patient was treated conservatively. These are the initial scans, and these are the follow-up scan. You can see in the follow-up scan, the pneumocephalus is subsided with the conservative treatment. Patient pre-op and post-op of bilateral frontal epidural hematoma. This patient was presented with GCS of 7/15, operated timely in emergency, and you can see the post-op scan and the visibility of the ventricular system. Another patient with the burst left frontal lobe with the effacement of the ipsilateral ventricular system and midline shift, operated surgically, and you can see the nice CT scan post-operatively. Another patient, this is a unique patient which I by myself operated. This is unique because of the fact this patient presented to our emergency department and on the occasion of last Eid al-Fitr. So initially, you can see in the first top left CT scan, the patient was having a little bit of temporal contusions, and which on subsequently CT scans and deterioration of the GCS, there is increase of the temporal contusions, and the patient initial GCS was 12/15, then dropped to 7/15. So we did this CT scan, and we found that there is increase in the contusion size. So we operated, and you can see the post-op scan. I'm still following the patient, and patient is now in good GCS. Another patient with left burst frontal lobe and frontal, you can see in post-op scan the frontal lobectomy. This is a patient from Afghanistan presented with the GCS of 4/15 with the right basal ganglia bleed. And in the last scan, you can see after 27 days, he was admitted to us for almost 32 days. And the last scan was 27th day post-admission. You can see resolution of the basal ganglia hematoma. Patient is still having GCS of 12/15, but he improves with conservative treatment. Another patient, child with the posterior fossa bleed compressing the fourth ventricle, causing obstructive hydrocephalus. This patient was treated with VP shunt. Patient with chronic subdural hematoma treated pre-op, post-op. Patient with intracerebral, intraventricular bleed treated conservatively, and you can see the post-treatment scans. Another patient initially presented with small epidural hematoma, but on subsequent scans, you can see there is enlargement of the hematoma, and in the post-op scan, you can see the evacuation. Another patient with bilateral frontal hematoma treated surgically, pre-op and post-op. Okay, this is a last couple of cases in which we encountered a big cranial defect. So we did cranioplasty and duroplasties. You can see there is a huge bone missing on the bifrontal area. On the 3D reconstruction, you can see that defect. And this patient was treated with bone cement. This is the per-op image and the post-op follow-up. This is another patient with firearm injury to the left cerebral hemisphere. Initially, this patient was treated conservatively, and only the debridement and dressing and wash was done in the emergency department. But later on, when there is subsidement of the edema, the ventricular system is lax, the brain is lax. So we did duroplasty by taking a huge fascia lata graft. You can appreciate that in the second. And then the poroperative replacement of the bone flap. So majority of patients were having good recovery on Glasgow outcome scale, while we encountered mortality in 3% of the patients. And that 3% of the patients were of severe head injury. It's about the hospital stay. This is our research contribution regarding traumatic brain injury. In the last 12 years, we have published 21 research publications in national and international journals. Some of the glimpses of our research published in journals. Firearm, bomb blast related traumatic brain injuries. And this paper was published in Japan Neurosurgical Journal, addressing a silent epidemic head injury cases. So my conclusion, majority of the patients were male. RTA is the most common mechanism. First 3 decades of life is the most common age group affected. Majority presented with mild to moderate TBI. And the lessons, first priority in managing head injury patients should be prompt physiological resuscitation, restoration of the blood pressure, oxygenation, and ventilation. Because you see in our study that majority of the patients were treated conservatively, that is 80% of the patients. So when we take care of these parameters, like to prevent hypotension, hypoxia, we can prevent the secondary brain injury, which is more devastating than the primary. And obviously, individualization is very important. Whenever it's for junior residents, whenever you encountered patients of TBI and they are not improving with conservative treatment and their GCS is coming down, so you should opt for different measures like repeat radiology, the CT scan, involve your seniors. And it is very imperative in managing and preventing TBI. Thank you very much.